We are live from Tigers Stadium. What a night here at the stadium. The Houston Tigers beat Mountain Grove. You heard that right. Beat Mountain Grove 24-14. Jeff McNeil joined by Coach Eric Sloan. Coach, you remember the senior night in 2017 when we beat Mountain Grove?
I think I'm going to remember that for a very long time. I think a lot of people are going to remember that, and that was one thing I kept talking to the seniors about, talking to the whole team about. You know, senior night's special. It's something you're going to remember forever. I mean, if you're a senior, you're going to remember a lot of details. Mm-hmm. And, you know, as the game went on, I said, you know, you remember that senior night when we knocked off Mountain Grove? And you could just see the look in their face, even at halftime. I mean, it didn't matter. We were going to win. I mean, nobody got panicked. And there was plenty of opportunities for one of them to panic. Fought through a little adversity there at the end of the game. Had some penalties. And just continued to fight. And I mean, that, like we talked last week, it's very encouraging to see exactly what we're capable of doing. You know, the offense isn't so stagnant anymore. We're starting to move the football. You know, it's just pride. Kids are taking pride. They're being accountable. It's a whole lot of fun right now. I don't know why it took so long to get it figured out, but we're clicking right now, so it's a good thing.
We're an hour plus away from the end of this ball game. Can you put into words what it means for our program to beat a program like Mountain Grove that, you know, we're talking many, many years. We're thinking 16 years or so. We'll have to check that historically, but a decade and a half, going on 2 decades that we haven't beat them. How do you put into words what it means for your team to knock them off tonight?
You know, I think it's a step in the right direction. You know, since I took over, I think we beat the teams on paper that we probably should have beat. Outside of St. James, that first year, I mean, we kind of snuck up on them and got one. You know, but we keep talking about in practice, you know, at some point we got to beat one of those guys we're not supposed to beat. And, you know, the Ozone, I mean, there's no respect there. Everybody picked Mountain Grove. The Mountain Grove announcers had Mountain Grove winning. Mountain Grove, a guy I've known my whole life over there, he told me at the Mountain Grove junior high game, said, yeah, you better beat Kabul because looking at your schedule, that's the only chance you have for a win. So
you'll be looking for him pretty soon, won't you?
Absolutely. And I mean, that's one of those deals you don't have to say anything. You can just smile, and
right.
that says it all. So I mean, it's huge for the program, for these kids, just to beat one of those teams that on paper you're not supposed to beat. Right. So it was fun to see us fight. I mean, the score looked just a little bit worse than it was. I mean, it didn't feel like a 10-point ball game to me. I mean, it was down to the final seconds, and then Gavin slips out there and goes and puts the exclamation mark on it and scores, and it's just a bunch of kids that was not going to be denied. I mean, it's senior night, you're always going to remember.
What change has happened with your ball club? I mean, you know, we are in week 8 of the season, and boy, week 4, 5, and 6, boy, I don't know if we could look back and say that it just didn't feel very good. You know, we were struggling, not a whole lot of signs of positive play.
No.
And I mean, just in a moment's notice, back-to-back games where we have just looked like a completely different ball club.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess if I could figure that out, I'd pick some lottery numbers and retire.
Or started that in week 2.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we all knew. I mean, there was a lot more positive things in that locker room than we were showing. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, we just went brain dead. And I felt like when we went to team camp, we played really well. And then at times at Ash Grove, we played well and would have penalties, and then it just snowballed, and we just couldn't ever dig out of a hole. We'd just bury ourselves in holes. We'd do stupid stuff offensively, and we'd do penalties, and I mean, we just continued to shoot ourselves in the foot. And I don't know. We kept searching and putting some people in different spots. I mean, I think in the first 5 games we'd played 4 centers, and I mean, we just kept looking for any answer out there, and I don't know. I mean, the kids found a sense of urgency and bought into their role and quit being so selfish. And I don't know. I think you're starting to see some positive signs of that. And I mean, the farther we go along now, all of a sudden, hey, maybe we're not as bad as we thought we were.
Right.
And success breeds success, and we've had a little bit of success the last 2.5 games, and it's just really refreshing because, the tradition around here the last few years hasn't been great, and when times are tough, sometimes you look for an excuse, and it's easy not to answer the bell when you get punched in the mouth. So I can't answer your question. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I wish I did know. I'd bottle it up and sell it and
and retire.
Yeah.
How about the confidence your team is playing with too, Coach? It's night and day again. I keep going back to it. These kids don't look like the same kids that just 3 weeks ago, but the confidence that we played with tonight, I felt like these guys came on the field tonight expecting that we're going to win this thing.
Yeah. We've had 2 really great weeks of practice. Weather hadn't been real cooperative. It's been muggy and hot, and very unusual for this time of year. And it's kind of a weird group of kids. You can't read them very well. My wife had asked me yesterday, said, how's practice? Are we ready? And I kind of grinned. I'm like, I don't know. It feels like things are going well, but I can't read the kids. It's we're a little more loose than I would like, but I think that's just the attitude of the kids, and that's what they are. So, tough group to read, but man, they're not afraid to work, and it's a lot of fun right now. And again, starting 2 freshmen on defense,
right.
Playing some kids in spots that they haven't been for a whole long time. So it's fun. It's refreshing. It's fun to go to practice.
Right.
It's a good time.
Well, let's talk. Let's start to break down this game a little, Coach. They get the ball first, and we force a punt, and then we have on a third down play throw a pick 6. And I think in years past, a start like that probably would have been the detriment of the night. It probably would have been about game over. And I thought one of the most critical parts of the game, we then turn around and go on a 65-yard drive, punch it in from 8 yards out, and responded right away after making a mistake. And I thought that really set a tone for tonight that, hey, just because we made a mistake, we're not counting ourselves out tonight.
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't handle that very well. I thought Dakota and I was on the same page of who we were going to throw the ball to, and I thought they were going to jump with Dixon and run with him, and that's exactly what they did. So we were just going to kind of decoy him.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, I didn't get the memo to him. He thought that's the look that I wanted, and so he forced it, and I chewed on him a little bit harder than I should have, but I handled it like a trooper and didn't make any excuses. Said we'll get it back, and at halftime we just had that feel to it. If we don't stop ourselves within 4 downs, we can get 10 yards. And the way we were going, I felt very comfortable. 4th and short, just go for it, and I think we could get enough of a push to get it. So it was fun. Just as the game went on, you could just see, like we talked, confidence, and Lyman had a lot of good ideas. Here's what we need to do, and again, if kids are saying this is what we need to do, then why are we doing something else? Because if they believe in it, let's do it.
We'll start to talk about some of these individual players tonight. I want to start with the offensive line. Much maligned at times this season as our offensive numbers just weren't very pretty. Back-to-back weeks now, making big holes, pushing forward, getting to the second level. Props to those guys for just doing a man's job tonight, right?
Oh, absolutely. And we knew coming in, Mountain Grove's defense is always stingy, and they put those 2 outside linebackers they make Michael Clayton look little.
Mm-hmm.
They put those guys out there and kind of seal the edge, and we knew after Dixon had a big week last week, they were going to shut that play down. So we were trying to counter with it, and we knew. They've got some very good track speed over there. So we knew the chance of getting out the gate probably wasn't great. So we were just going to have to dink and dunk them and plan to take 4 downs to get 10 yards, and that was just kind of the mentality. And we would squirt out every once in a while, and made some good things really happen. The kids stayed patient and stuck with the game plan, and it's fun. It's fun to see when you execute the right way. Very positive things happen.
And how about the answer at center now? Brecken 80 now. It just seems like he's taking that spot and just taking control up there, and we look different with him up there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brecken has done a great job. In the games that he's taken over, I don't know that we've had one or two bad snaps, maybe total.
Yeah.
He's taken pride in the job. He likes the job. He's kind of my little cheerleader out there. I mean, he gets excited. He bounces around. I mean, he's calling out where the Mike linebacker is. He's setting us up. I mean, he's talking. He sees the field. He understands the game. So when he comes to the sideline, I mean, he can tell me up front what we're getting defensively and what he thinks will work. And the majority of the time, what he sees, we call it. And, I mean, he's right on the money. So, it's refreshing. And the fact that he's a junior, it's even better to get him back in another year.
Right, another junior that has become the workhorse for your offense is Peyton Dixon. The kid, again, banged up this week, not 100%, and just running so hard, finishing off runs. This is no cupcake defense that we played tonight.
No.
This is a very good defense.
Absolutely.
And he ran the ball very hard, and I just think the best way to describe him now is he's just finishing off runs.
Yeah.
He's just finishing them off. But what would you say about his play?
I mean, I'm sure if a doctor cut him wide open, his heart would be humongous. He's another kid that just gives you everything he's got every week. I mean, the kid is not healthy. This week he missed 2.5 days of practice with a hip. Last week it was a knee. It's been a hip. I mean, we just can't get him healthy. He's a fighter. He wants to be in there all the time. So, I mean, he needed to come out a couple times tonight, but, I mean, he's more than willing to carry the load for us, and, I mean, he's not very big. Got a heart of gold, and he'll do anything you ask him to do, and, when a 150-pound kid's your workhorse, usually the odds aren't in your favor, but, man, I'll take him any day of the week right now. He's playing his tail off for us.
And how about the job your defensive unit did tonight? I thought we made them earn everything that they got, and they didn't get much.
Yeah, absolutely, and we had to make some changes going into the Ava game just based off of our injuries. So we had to make a lot of defensive changes and change our scheme up just a little bit. And, going into that game, I did not feel very comfortable with it just because we had kids that got hurt on Wednesday and Thursday, so we didn't have a whole lot of time to get that game plan put in. But, they've just kind of run with their roles and just read and react and go. And I mean, it's a lot of downhill. And right now when our young kids don't have to think a whole lot, I think that's helping us out. Just if it's predetermined we're going to blitz or whatever, and just don't think, just go. So I mean it's done very well for 2.5 games. So.
Well, that offense got a defensive stop, forced a punt. Got Otwell came in the game, and we got a sack, and then got a couple incomplete passes. So force a punt. We take possession of the ball on our 23-yard line. I think there was 7 and change left on the clock.
Seemed like forever.
7 and forever to go.
Yeah.
And the drive that we put together, you talk about game-winning time. They touched the ball again for one play because we scored a touchdown, but we just took the game over. We ended the game with a fantastic drive, and I'll talk about some plays specifically from that drive in a moment. But how about your offense's response there, converting some third downs and just draining the clock and just putting the game away, icing it?
Yeah, I mean you can't put one of those performances together. I mean, Disney would have to do that, and as they would call a timeout or we'd call a timeout. I mean, our linemen were just saying, they're wore down. Keep cramming it up the middle. We've got this. And, I mean, it was fun. And I kept telling them, I feel confident in what we're doing. In 4 downs, all we got to get is 10. We don't need to go home run. We don't need to get crazy here. And, I was having to pull my reins back just a little bit because I was wanting to trick play just a little more than we did. And, it was just fun just to know. I mean, even Burchette there, we had a busted play. He fumbled the exchange and I think got about 13 yards on a busted play. I mean, it was just everything right. We were just clicking offensively, seemed like, and, we weren't going to be denied.
Let's talk about the three key third down conversions on that drive. The first, a 3rd and long, and Burchette hits Aiden Sawyer. who made a really nice catch, not high off the ground, and then just plowed his way to a first down and got it by a few feet. I just thought an excellent individual effort by Aiden Sawyer to keep that drive alive. If we go 3 and out there, then there's plenty of time for Mountain Grove.
Yeah, and if I remember, what did you say it was like third and
long?
A lot.
Yeah, he gained 10, and I think we needed 9 3/4. I mean,
yeah, I mean when he first caught the ball and made contact, I thought, that's a decent spot to punt.
Right.
I mean that was a split second thought, and man, he just churned his legs, and he's a big, strong kid, and all of a sudden, I mean, the ref runs by us, and we're moving the chains. And like, wow, that's a great job. I mean, just pitch and catch, and then Aiden did the rest.
Later on in that drive, if I can take my notes here, I want to make sure I recognize all these guys that made plays. Evan Richardson, another third down play, have a couple runs, and it's 3rd and 4. He breaks off an 8-yard run, and Evan's a guy that's had his workload decreased a little as Peyton's taken his spot, but the times he's had touches, he's made the most of them.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, you can see his legs are a little bit fresh when he gets in there and gets some carries, and he's doing a good job, taking a little criticism from us in practice, and handled that very well. Followed his blockers, just keeping his feet going. I like the way he's grabbing our linemen and, kind of staying with them, and then darting off of their blocks. And I mean, that was a very heads-up play by him, just knowing kind of where we got to get to, and ended up and got some more yards there just to keep the drive alive.
Another third down, a 3rd and 8 this time on the 40-yard line, 2 minutes and 3 seconds to go. They called the number of Dakota Burchette, your sophomore quarterback. Runs for about 3 and gets in a pile. Then all of a sudden he just squirts loose. It was on the opposite side of the field than us. I thought at one point maybe the ball had been fumbled and somebody picked it up, but he just squirted loose. Runs for 9 yards, and that essentially iced the game there with that conversion.
Yeah, I didn't have a very good view. I'm anxious to see the film, but it looked like he just ran up into some trash, and I expected the whistle to blow at any time, and then you kind of see everybody move in the pile, and then he kind of squirts out of there, and I'm not sure how it happened, but it was great vision on his part and execution. That was great.
And he ran the ball well tonight.
Yeah.
I don't have the numbers in front of me here, but 7 carries. He's going to be right around 50 yards or so. And you called his number a little more tonight than you typically do just because it was working, right?
Yeah, and I mean, he's a very smart kid. I mean, academically, he's very smart. He understands the game of football, and he's about 6'3", so he understands it. I mean, he does not look fast. He looks kind of like a giraffe at times. But, I don't know, one of the games, I guess maybe the Kabul game, he was covering about 10 yards and just a little more than 2 of his strides. I mean, he covers a lot of ground. So, I don't know. And he's a sophomore. So,
right.
Going to be very excited to see him. And he's a kid that's going to put the work in the offseason and develop some more. I mean, he's a kid that's not had a whole lot of work at the quarterback position. So, it's going to be exciting to see what the future holds for him.
And then the game ends, another third down play, third down from the 40-yard line. Gavin takes the handoff and just breaks down the sideline. One of your seniors again, he's going to be over 100 yards tonight. He had a 59-yard run and this one a 40-yard run. Put the game away. It's celebration time, and what a great time for him to have the game of his life tonight, right?
Oh, absolutely. And, at senior night, I mean, you could just see all sorts of emotion on his face. I mean, he's got tears running down his cheeks, and I mean, he's a kid that's been told his whole life he's too little to play football. I mean, he's 5'2" or 3, 130 pounds. Strong kid. He's athletic. And I've told him, and he's great. A lot of teams aren't going to respect you because you're not very big. But his vision's been really good the last few games. He's run like a man. Just like the Willow game last week, he absolutely trucked the kid as he scored. And we had talked there when we called that play, don't run out of bounds. Don't do anything to stop that clock.
Right.
And as he come that direction, I thought they were going to force him out of bounds. So I'm thinking, oh, man, don't get out of bounds. And all of a sudden he just, I don't know, hits a little trash, bounces off, and exclamation mark, there it is. So happy for him, to see a senior to put the stamp on the ball game right there. And I mean, the place went nuts, and that's one of those games that that senior class, they're going to remember that forever. And I remember when on senior night we beat Mountain Grove, and not even the odds in Vegas were in our favor.
Right.
So it was just so happy for those kids. They're just awesome.
Take us inside of your locker room in the post game. What was the emotion like in there? What did it look like in there?
I mean, just so. I mean, this town hasn't beat them in years. So I mean, the kids were just excited, just bouncing off the walls. That you know, when we play together, we play for 4 quarters. We play fundamental football. Good things can happen, and a lot of hooping and hollering and celebrating. And
Right.
you know, I could get used to having some more of those Friday nights. It was a whole lot of fun, and man, I just can't describe it. It was so good just to see that many kids excited, and they're ready to go to practice tomorrow. But we're not gonna do that. We'll come in on Monday, and you know, it's back to work and Mountain View Liberty, and you know, we'll see what happens.
I saw some guys move to tears tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it's so emotional because, I mean, you have so many people say you can't beat those guys, and you know the work that you put in. You've done the things necessary if you could just execute, and to see some of that pay off, you know, and see some older gentlemen that having tears, and I mean what it means to those guys.
Right.
You know, it's just special, and you know, and I don't know. I'm glad to be a part of it. It was a whole lot of fun, and you know, when you can knock off those teams you're not supposed to beat. I mean, you see it every Saturday. You see it in college football. That somebody's going to go down that's not supposed to.
Right.
You know, to be a part of that and beat a team that you're not supposed to, man, it's fun. It's a whole lot of fun to see the kids have that success, and see the community and the crowd amped up and excited. And you know, Fields of Faith was supposed to start 10 minutes directly after, and I think that got put on hold for a little while. And I mean, nobody wanted to leave that field. It was so excited. I mean, mama's hugging their babies and daddy's hugging their babies, and I mean, everybody's like a big family reunion down there. It was just awesome just to see.
And what did some of these dads? I saw a lot of dads coming up to you, hugging you, embracing you.
Yeah.
What were they saying to you?
Just thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just something that we haven't done in so long, and you know, when you can beat a team that, you know, preseason was number 3 in the state. I mean, they've had some adversity and had some kids that went down. I mean, and that's football. Everybody has bumps and bruises along the road, but you know, when you can beat Mountain Grove at anything, I mean, we're used to being the doormat and sitting down there at the bottom of the conference, and when you can beat a Mountain Grove, it's a great day.
Right.
It's a great day if it's Tiddlywinks or whatever it is. You know, it's a great day. And 3 years ago, maybe it's the freshman class now, I think when they were in 7th grade, we beat Mountain Grove, and when I went over there, I was just giddy excited and said, man, it's a great day. And they're all looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, anytime you beat Mountain Grove at anything, it's a great day. I mean, it's something that doesn't happen every day.
Right.
So, you know, enjoy it. Remember what it feels like. Remember what it does or what it takes to get there and do that, and figure out a way to keep doing it. So, you know, I would love to be talked about like Mountain Grove and Liberty and Ava, and I would love to be sitting up there where people are wanting to chase us and come knock us off.
Right.
And you know, that's where we got to get to. That's. I mean, when I look at programs around here, I mean that's where we got to get to.
Right.
And you know, I'm impatient and I want it to happen now. And you know, unfortunately, I know it's a process and it's going to take time. And I'm just like a kid coming to Christmas. You know, I want it to be now, not way down the road. And you know, I guess you got to wait sometimes for some really good things to happen. And you know, I just have to get patient.
Well, one final question, Coach, and I'll let you go. Long interview. Of course, we got a lot of good things to talk about.
Absolutely.
I think the emotion I saw on the sidelines tonight, probably in my time here, is probably ranks right up there with the comeback win against St. James. Yeah. You know, down 20-something points with 9 minutes ago. Where does tonight rank for you in your coaching career? Where would you put it?
It'd be right up there with St. James. That was such a comeback win. I mean, we dug ourselves a humongous hole and then come back out of it. But I never played St. James growing up.
Right.
So I played Mountain Grove growing up, and I've seen what Mountain Grove's done the last few years, and the success and the tradition that they have over there. I think on their gym or something says tradition of excellence, and when I think of Mountain Grove, that's what I think about. I mean, the place is nuts. Everything sports over there just seems to excel. I mean, shoot, basketball went to the Final Four the last couple of years. Baseball's been there, won a state title. For football, they've been in the district championship for a while. When they were Class 3, they were making a run. I mean, they just get it done in everything that they do. So that's pretty special. To knock off one of those,
right?
One of those teams, and it's one of those teams that we'll see them a lot, and our kids know their kids, and there's lots of talk back and forth, and there's so many of our kids that have been told that you're not going to belong in that field with them. They're gonna mop you up, and then to silence some of that, it's fun, and it's a great Friday night football game.
All right.
So very excited, very very happy for these kids in the community, and the worst part about football in general, I guess, is you can only celebrate it for so long, and then it's back to work the next day, and we know what's staring at us
right
going into next week, and
right.
and the program that Liberty has had, and it's a lot of tradition, a lot of rich tradition right there, and outside of Lamar, if Lamar's not sitting there, they've probably won 2 or 3 state titles.
Right.
So we know what we're looking at next week, and I'm excited. I'm excited for the challenge. It's another one that on paper we probably shouldn't win. So I like the way the kids are playing. I like the way they're coming to practice, the way they're responding. So we gotta get to work, get a good game plan put together, and Friday night we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, congratulations, awesome job, and
Absolutely.
We will always remember the night on Senior Night 2017 when Houston beat Mountain Grove.
Absolutely. That's one for the ages, and those senior kids, they'll never forget it. And I don't know, I'll never forget it. It's pretty special.
Might sell a few extra papers this week.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's going to do it here from Tiger Stadium. The Houston Tigers beat Mountain Grove. That's right. You heard it. The Tigers win 24-14 tonight. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back with you live from Mountain View next week for the regular season finale.